great player. He's a great leader. He's going to make everybody around him better. I think the Clippers are clearly a playoff team. Now you got to see how well they're going to mesh and grow and mature. But they're going to make the playoff with Chris Paul. But now it's just a matter of how good they can be, just how quick.
Right now, what they have is a gritty team. You got Chris Paul, you got Mo Williams, you got Caron Butler, you got Blake Earthquake Griffin, you got DeAndre Jordan, who just got the big contract. So, once they learn how to play together, I look for them to become a playoff team.
He's one of the top 3 point guards in the NBA, Chris Paul is, and so I think overall it's going to give them a great foundation to build upon. I think before the Clippers was kind of a destination location. No one really lived there. His guys kind of left. Bringing a guy like Chris Paul in, guys will want to stay there and play with him because all great players want to play with a great point guard.
Well, I think immediately it impacts them through confidence. One, through the confidence of the community around them. I think Clipper fans that have been there kind of humbled all these years as Lakers fans have been kind of the top dog in charge. I think the Clippers fans finally have something to be happy about, so it's going to start that momentum with them being happy, sellouts. Now, Blake Griffin is going to be dunking in front of sellout crowds. He's one of the most exciting players, and he has one of the best passing guards passing it to him. Not only that, they have Chauncey Billups, who's known as a caveat to go to the next level. When you have Chauncey Billups, whatever that next level is for you, he's that person that gets you to the next level. So I think that, even though they lost Kaman, Gordon, even though there's some really good guys, having Johnson or Jordan there and other guys, they're really going to be good. And I think that Clippers fans have a lot to look forward to.
Well, we've expanded our roster here for the next couple of segments here on Game Time. Steve Smith and Reggie Miller have joined us here, and you heard the fellas talking about what Chris Paul can do for this team, not only on the floor but off the floor, where people are lining up basically for tickets to see the LA Clippers at home. In how many ways does CP3 instantly improve this franchise?
Well, are we rolling the trophy to the Clippers already? Listening to those guys, I mean, it's like they already are the champs. Look, CP3 does a lot for your team. He stabilizes, obviously, the backcourt situation. Everyone's talking about the lobs to Jordan and to Blake Griffin. And to me, defensively, that's where he's really going to impact that team. Now, this is a guy that's really a ball hog. He picks up everyone full court. And I think he's averaged 2 steals throughout his time in the NBA. But more importantly, he gets everyone involved. And even though his numbers offensively, as well as his assists, has gone down over the last 3 years, it's that stability that he brings to your backcourt. And if I'm Vinny Del Negro, to me, I've got to start Chauncey and CP3 in the backcourt. To me, that's dynamic.
I look at it as, just to add to Reggie, you're talking about a floor leader, a winner, a gritty player. I think whatever your level was, kind of like what Kenny says, this guy protects you to the next level. The one thing I look at it for the Clippers is right now is what can you build around him? I like this deal, but still looking at this Clippers team, maybe they make the HC, but I think when you look at it, when you bring a Chris Paul and a Blake Griffin, you want to have more than making an HC. Yes, it's a great start, but I think for right now, if you look at it right on paper right now, they still have a lot of work to go.
This season, I go to the former Clipper here, this season, where will he have his greatest impact?
Well, first, I was part of that undistinguished records that you were talking about.
It was more distinguished when you were there.
Well, I think Chris Webber, yeah, thank you. I think Chris hit it on the head. It's about the confidence that Chris Paul is going to bring to this basketball team, knowing that you're playing with one of the best point guards in the NBA. Kind of makes you accountable to what it takes to become a winning basketball franchise. The Clippers have not had that for a long time. Somebody who's a solid rock to build on to go along with Blake Griffin and the momentum that Blake caused last year in Los Angeles. You're teaming up Chris Paul for the impact he can have not only on your team, but in your community, the type of attention, positive attention that he's going to bring to your basketball team. Really, the sky is the limit. Smitty is right. They have to address some other issues. They did bring in Caron Butler. They did address DeAndre Jordan to get him back, but they've got to get some depth on that team, and they've got to get some backup bigs if they're going to be a team that Reggie's talking about that's competing for something more than a playoff berth.
Chris Paul will join this list of notable point guards in Clipper history. There's some pretty good names among the group, but as we pointed out, for a variety of reasons, really myriad reasons, weird injuries, all sorts of bad luck, a lot of other stuff, it just hasn't really worked out for these guys.
Well, one thing, Matt, that all those point guards have had in common is that they've played for the Los Angeles Clippers. So we're
Yes,
going to see.
that's pretty much by definition.
If Chris Paul can break the streak here somehow and get them relevant.
Pretty much by definition, that's why they're on the list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting is we talk about amongst ourselves. Is there a Clipper curse? And you've got Chris Paul, who's had knee injuries before. You've had Blake Griffin, who was fantastic in his rookie season, but his
After
real rookie
sitting out a year.
After sitting out a year with knee problems. You got Caron Butler, who's 31, coming back from ACL surgery. So I don't know if there's something in the water. I'm fantastic that there's a buzz in LA and that there's two teams that are going to be fighting for attention in the Staples Center, but they're still the Clippers. Show me. It looks great on paper, but I want to see some production.
I've seen the Los Angeles River, by the way. There's not much water
Okay.
for there to be anything in. You know, part of this for the Clippers is really reputation around the league and credibility. You're signing guys, you're bringing guys in, you're making trades for people. What is the message to somebody like Blake Griffin who's looking at his long-term future there?
Well, I think right now, if Blake Griffin goes and does his history like Reggie and Brent knows, this is just a sign of the Clippers being the Clippers. They have to show us that they're going to change their direction. You have to win championship with great organizations, and they have not been a great organizations in the past. I think right there they've taken some steps, but I think when you look at it right now this is the part where if you see some potential, this is where ownership has to open up the checkbook if you want to win a championship. Not keep getting these players, letting them go away, starting all over again with the first picks and second picks, and bringing this excitement to us. And then at the end of the day, we all say, here goes the Clippers again.
And Griffin and DeAndre Jordan are already salivating at the notion of Chris Paul lobbing it to them. They're already talking about Lob City. Remember what Paul was able to do for Tyson Chandler, who really flourished with him offensively in New Orleans. What is Paul's presence going to mean to those two bigs?
Well, I take it to football where Tom Brady takes his offensive linemen out to big, expensive dinners. Those two guys better get ready to wine and dine Chris Paul for months. And there's great places to eat in Los Angeles. Maybe they'll even find him some Cajun food. But he is going to make those two guys dynamic in ways that we are not really thinking about. It's going to be more than the lobs. It's going to be able to play high-low. It's going to be able to show Blake Griffin some of the other skill sets that he has to be able to step out to 18 or 19 feet because everybody's sucking in defensively for him to knock down jump shots. There's going to be some dynamics that not only Chris Paul is going to have to adjust to, but Vinny Del Negro, and watching these guys in practice, is going to have to adjust to put these guys in complementary positions. But it's more dynamic than just lob balls to the rim, Matt.
Remember, Griffin and Jordan were already second and third in the NBA in dunks last season behind Dwight Howard. And now with Chris Kaman out of the picture, maybe Griffin will get to show off a little more of his post game. How do you envision Vinny Del Negro deploying Griffin with Jordan and with Chris Paul handling the ball?
Well, if the Clippers are going to take that next step and they are going to be a contending team in the Western Conference, to me it comes down to Blake Griffin and what he did over this summer as well as the long lockout. If he gets better offensively, because we saw a lot of the dunks and some of the big games that he had this year, offensively, if he can get a consistent mid-range game, make free throws, what's going to be interesting is Vinny Del Negro is going to have about 3 or 4 guys that are going to be fighting to run those lanes with Chris Paul in the middle with the basketball. So now you've got your power forward a la Karl Malone running the lane. Who's going to stand in front of Blake Griffin or DeAndre Jordan to take a charge? You've got your bigs running lanes to get some of these alley-oops.
And don't forget, Caron Butler's now part of that picture, too.
Yeah, so definitely. We know Caron Butler is a nice player. Just want to see where he is health-wise. But I think to add to Reggie, you know, the Blake Griffin right now has got to understand he's going to see more double teams right now, more game planning for him. And we understand he's a great kid. He can dunk. But I think right now what he can add in the post, how can he play out of double teams? And you know what? He's a decent passer. But I think right now for DeAndre Jordan, and I think everybody, for me to be better, I needed Mookie to be better. For me to be better, I needed Dikembe to be better. DeAndre Jordan's going to have to take some of that stress off Blake Griffin because he's going to get a lot of attention. You can't be a guy just a dunker right now. You're going to have to find another skill to help Blake Griffin.
And here's what happens, Smitty. When you sign a guy like Chauncey Billups to be in your locker room, he can be the guy that is not there with Vinny Del Negro, but is on the bus, is at the hotel, is out to dinner, sitting down and talking to DeAndre about the steps that you need to take in order for this basketball club to be better. That's why Chauncey Billups is so much more valuable than just the $2 million pickup that they had after him getting amnestied from the Knicks.
Arguably the most buzz about Clipper basketball since the Barry deal.